Finding peace in the chaos. I felt like this is something, of course, we can always use to hear, but it does seem like certain times in life it feels a little more chaotic. And I definitely feel like we're kind of in one of those times right now. But chaos is around us in our world, but chaos can also be in our inner world. And then it can also be inside. We can have chaos inside of us, right? And it creates fear, and it creates stress, and it triggers anxiety and depression. You know, the most common mental health disorder in America is anxiety. Over 40 million people, over 40 million, and I'm sure it's more than that because that's just who's been reported, are suffering with anxiety. And anxiety is the absence of peace. Because if you're living in anxiety, you're not at peace with yourself, you're not at peace with the world. And so clearly this is an area we need a lot of work on. And if you look at the numbers, it kind of seems like chaos is winning. But I disagree. I think it's there, but I don't think it's winning. I think we can take back the power of chaos. We do not have to let it run our lives. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about science. I like that. I like that we connect science to our spirituality. And I think there's a lot we don't get taught about when we're in school. I think about health class and the basics that they teach us in health class, but there's so much they leave out. There's so much we don't understand and we don't come with a manual, you know. So there's a great book I love to reference called Mind Hacking Happiness. And the man who writes it, Sean Webb, he is a super intelligent tech guy. He actually has done programming for AI, but he also studied neuroscience. And so he talks a lot about our brain and how it works and our limbic system. And so our limbic system is our fight or flight system. You know, it was what kept us alive in the beginning of human time. It's what kept us, you know, aware that if something's coming like a lion, we need to run, you know. And so it was a good thing to have, you know, while we're still here. But, you know, we're not running from lions anymore. And so we're not living in the wild anymore. So what is our limbic system doing? It's still there. It's still giving us that fight or flight. But he talks about in the book how we have a thing he calls a self-map. And our self-map, let me see if I get this, yeah. It's a representation of how we perceive ourselves, including our identities, our values, and our attachments. So items that are central to our self-map have a stronger influence on our emotional reactions, especially when something we value is threatened. So he talks about how, you know, obviously things like your children, your family, they're going to be at the center of your self-map. So anytime something's happening to someone in your family that you love, you're going to be reactive. You're going to have this response. And it's because your body is sensing that something's wrong, and it's a fear reaction, but it's not just you. It's connected to the people you love, the people you value. But our self-map can go out even bigger and has little things on it that we don't even realize, little things that we value. Like, say, your favorite sports team. So your favorite sports team is losing, and you're getting really upset about it. It's literally triggering your limbic system. It's literally triggering these emotions in your body and getting you all stressed out and, you know, about a sports team. And you just think, how silly is that, you know? It's great to be a sports fan, don't get me wrong, but for it to get you so worked up, that is literally your limbic system being triggered. So, like, little things now are triggering this. And the thing is that we can actually simplify our self-map. He in the book, he kind of walks you through how you can kind of think about these things that you have attachments to, these things that you give so much value to. And I'm not saying that the things you care about don't have value, but we got to kind of scale back and recognize when we're putting a little too much value on something or a little too much attachment into something, because that can reduce our emotional turmoil. You know, the human mind is an amazing thing, but we have to remember we have power over our minds. We can alter our perspectives, and we can actually build new synapses in our brains. I mean, I don't know when it was, but years ago they used to think that we got to a certain point, a certain age, and our brains were done and that was it. But science has proven many times that that is not the case. Brain's a muscle, we can work it, we can change it. But I think that we a lot of times tend to be victims to our mind. And so the more we understand that we don't have to be a victim to the mind, the easier it can get for us. But it can feel comfortable going through life in default mode. I'm definitely guilty of that, just kind of letting whatever's going to come my way, and just letting my mind react how it's going to react, and just being a victim to those reactions. I think that it is true that we think we've reached a certain age and we got it all figured out, and that stress and chaos is just normal, and we're just supposed to go with it, you know, and we kind of become complacent. So I recently had a little health scare. About almost a month ago now, I ended up in the hospital with some extremely high blood pressure. And I was really surprised because I had never really had that before. And, you know, thankfully my son is really smart and intuitive, and I'm talking to the doctors, I'm like, I don't know why this is going on, I feel very calm, you know, I even did some breathing techniques trying to think that's going to lower it, why isn't it lowering it? And then my son started talking to me, and the night before I had an incident with my brothers who I care for. My brothers, being special, one of their issues they have is they have anger issues, and sometimes they turn against each other, and then I get to be mediator. And when I play mediator for them, I have to keep myself calm. I have to stay in a very calm state, because if I get upset, then I trigger them, I make it worse. And I've learned that by working with them. And I can do it, I'm good at it. I can get nice and calm, I can handle that situation. But what I wasn't recognizing is that I was internalizing what I was feeling. And I'm like, I got this, I'm good, you know, go home and a lot of times I'll go home and I'll end up sharing with my parents maybe what happened, because they'll ask how did it go, and they can tell I've been kind of upset. And so then I'll relive the whole story with them, get myself all worked up again, you know, but then again, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I go to bed, you know. And so that particular night before I had that incident, and so my son's kind of like, Mom, you know, you had that really stressful night last night, that's probably what it is. And I hadn't really thought about how much stress I was really having. I was kind of in default mode. I was just kind of letting myself have that stress and not really dealing with it, you know, just kind of push it down in there, you know. It's not there. We'll just pretend like it's not there. And clearly my body said, oh no, it's there. And here it is. So, you know, when I talked with the doctor about it, of course, I had a very interesting ER doctor who, after several hours of being there and several people freaking out about how high my blood pressure was, he decided to tell me that doctors really don't care about blood pressure. Yeah, those were his words. My kids were there to witness it. He said, let me tell you a secret. Doctors really don't care about blood pressure. I'm like, I don't know if that's true, Doc. So, when I saw my primary care a week later, she's like, don't listen to ER doctors. Okay. She said, they're a little desensitized, you know, if you're not coming in with like a pole sticking out of your neck, then they're not oh, okay. I get it now, you know. And so, you know, but me and my doctor talked, and I did end up going on some blood pressure medicine, a low dose, but it's this particular one that is for people that deal with stress-related blood pressure. And I told her I was fine, we'd go on that, but I said, I'm now making it my goal to really tackle this issue myself. Because I think what it was a real eye-opener for me. It made me go, you know what, I am responsible for my health. My doctors are helping me with it, you know, medicine can help me with it, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my health. I'm responsible for what's going on inside of myself. I cannot sit here and be a victim to this. So, you know, we talked about, you know, doing things to be healthier, watching my sodium and getting more cardio, which, you know, I like working out, but cardio is not my favorite. And the doctor's like, you gotta do at least, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, you know, and you have to sweat. And I'm like, oh God. But let me tell you, I've been doing it. I've been going out and walking and going to the gym, and I've been sweating. And I've also been recognizing when I'm having these stressed out moments with my brothers. You know, I kind of am a problem solver, as a lot of us are, and I think I'm supposed to go in there and fix their problems. But I have to acknowledge that their problems are not all problems I can fix. So I'm having to let go of that attachment and that expectation to I can help them, I can fix them, and just learn to accept them for who they are and let go of that. And that kind of cuts back on my emotional turmoil, my stress that I'm having. So, you know, it got me thinking about trying to find that moment of peace when I'm with him. Is that possible? You know, I used to think that wasn't possible. But now I'm actually being mindful about it. I'm thinking about what my thoughts are. Because I think that our thoughts tell us one thing, our brain's telling us one thing, but we have to recognize when our brain is lying to us, or when it's generating thoughts that are distracting or fear-based. And with my one brother, we have been working on a tool because of his anger issues. His therapist gave him some breathing techniques and some grounding techniques to use to kind of calm him. And we've really been using them lately. And it's amazing. I get to see in real time when he's just at his most stressed out moment that I can get him to start breathing. We do our deep breathing. And then we do our grounding techniques. One of our grounding techniques is something like name 5 things you can see, name 3 things you can hear, you know, and we start getting his mind to think about other things. We calm him down with the breathing and we get his mind to go somewhere else. And I am amazed at how well it works on him. How I will literally see everything about him change. His way, his stance, his face, you know, his whole talk, his whole presence, just from doing those 2 simple things. And he has a brain that clearly doesn't work 100% like it's supposed to. So I started thinking, well, if that works that well for him, with brain that doesn't work like it's supposed to, just imagine for us, who don't have the problems he has, if we really took that time in real time, when we're feeling the stress, when we're feeling the chaos around us, and we just took those breaths, and we started grounding ourselves, and we changed that thought process. That's us taking control of our brain. That's us not being a victim to our brain. That's us showing our brain, no, I'm not going to let you go there. We're not going down this path. We're going to calm ourselves, and we're going to think about something else. So it's a way to pull ourselves out of the chaos around us and recognize that we are in control here. We don't have to be a victim to the chaos in our lives. A couple of years ago when I first got into the metaphysics, I found a group meditation at a place in South City. And I want to say the man who led it was like a guru of some sort. And I loved him. He was super inspiring. And being that it was new for me, it was really cool to kind of experience his setup. And one thing he said to me that really stuck with me, a lot of times people will say, just roll with it, just roll with it. And he said, no, that's not how I do things. He goes, if you can get yourself to a mindset where you are so at peace in yourself, then you become like the stone in the river, where you're there and you're not moving and the river's rushing by, but it's not taking you with it. You're there on a solid foundation. And he said, so don't flow with it. Find your foundation and stay grounded. And let the chaos of life flow by. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it pull you into the flow. Just be there and be solid in your peace of mind. I thought, wow, I really like that idea. You know, and it comes from building that peace inside, understanding the power we have over our minds, understanding the power we have in our spirit. You know, if at any moment we feel too weak to tackle what our brain is telling us, then we need to start asking and leaning on the Divine One to give us that strength, to give us what we need to help get through this chaotic time. You know, I've said it many times before, we are the creators of our reality, and we deserve to be at peace. We deserve to set ourselves free from the chaos around us. You know, we are fortunate enough to understand and know that about ourselves. There's so many people in the world that don't know that. So many people that are going to remain victims to what's going on in their lives because they feel like they have no power. So those of us who know we have the power, if we can use it and show that we can do it, then we're an example. I talk all the time about us being an example to those around us. And this is an area that is really important for us to be an example, to show people that we don't have to get caught up in all the chaos. That we can have faith, we can trust in the divine, and we can trust in ourselves, that we have the power to come and have that peace inside that we deserve. I think it was Buddha that said it's not happiness we should be seeking, it's peace. Because once we have peace inside, then we have happiness, right? So peace is the key. So I challenge you as you move forward and you feel those feelings coming about, whatever it may be, something at work, something with your family, something on the news that's getting you feeling stressed and chaos, like your mind is spinning and you don't know what to do. That's when you want to recognize that feeling and do that deep breathing and try and give yourself something else to think about. Find something to focus on that you're grateful for and pull yourself out of that and recognize the power you have to have that peace in your life. Because I promise you, you can do it for yourself. If my brother can do it, I know you can do it.